promised to deliver 1 million artillery shells to Ukraine and then was not able to deliver, but I think we are able to deliver now. And that's a good development. But of course, from the more production of ammunition, a lot of supply chain problems are following. There is a need for explosives, there is a need for propulsion, there are more needs that need to be fulfilled. And that's my second point, we are not fully exploring our potential and using our potential yet. There are still, for example, industrial areas in Europe where explosives productions is running at 25% or 30% of capacity. I think we cannot afford to do that. And if there are factories like that and the current management is not able to increase explosives production, maybe it should be taken over by somebody else. Maybe a different management should be brought in. There are some of those players across Europe. So using the potential we have in Europe to the full, especially when it comes to explosives, propulsion, and other elements that we need, is of course something we need to do more, and we need to produce different types of ammunition more if we not only look into artillery ammunition. Missiles for tubed artillery and the whole development of ground-based deep strike precision fires. We need to be able to produce those new types of ammunition in scale with a European supply chain and need to mass produce them. I think that the Ukrainians are telling us why this is decisive. They are starting doing it themselves with developments they made in Ukraine, but I think that is a step we have to follow on in Europe. And we should not buy, I mean, it's a continuation of the discussion this morning, we should not buy expensive US ammunitions when it comes to deep strikes. We should develop, mass produce cheaper European versions that we have fully under control. And of course there's a big ammunition problem where we need to use the potential more when it comes to all sorts of guided missiles we need for air defense systems, for ground-based air defense system. I think that is where the Europeans need to put an effort to become better. And the last point I want to make is Ukraine has really shown that investing into the Ukrainian defense industry and into the Ukrainian defense sector brings more a bang for the buck. You can see this with many categories of weapon systems and ammunitions. And now I think it's time for not only investing into the Ukrainian defense industry sector, but building industrial partnerships. Companies working together really, by the way, the German arms industry is more forward-leaning than German policymaking when it comes to producing in Ukraine, working together with Ukrainian companies. And European industry, Ukrainian industry partnerships have a potential not only to help Ukraine, I think they have a potential also to strengthen Europe and to strengthen the European defense posture in general. There needs to be solutions for corruption prevention and for many elements of this, but I think industrial partnerships, that would be my main headline for 2026.
I'll just start the discussion because you have to leave to the airport in 15 minutes time. You mentioned ground-based air defense, which covers everything nowadays since the NATO policy changed in February, from the smallest drone up until ballistic missiles. Do you believe that Europe is able to develop their own, I'm not going to call it Iron Dome, but Iron Dome look-alike, or something where we can defend our capitals or something like that? So yeah, we're working now for Ukraine, but we also have to work for the defense of our own countries.
Well, I believe Iron Dome is a formulation that is very often used by politicians. From a military point of view, it doesn't make sense to talk things like this. The problem that I see with ground-based air defense systems is that systems, if you take some of the most popular ones, IRIS-T, SLM and Patriot, the systems themselves are produced very, very slowly, they are very expensive. And the missiles are produced very, very slowly, and they are also very expensive. So I think the task for all of us in Europe, including Ukraine, is to develop a better economy of ground-based air defense. finding ways to have more economic versions of interceptors, of bringing down cheaper threats and saving the more advanced, expensive missiles for the threats that really need to be addressed with them. That's a very difficult task because you need to build command and control systems, maybe use AI support, having all the networks of sensors and radars to really make distinctions very quickly. What is a bird, what is a missile, what is a drone, what is a decoy, and then administering this to the right interceptors. My key strategic approach here that I suggest is let's integrate the air defense of the eastern flank of NATO and Ukrainian air defense with each other. This will strengthen Ukraine, clearly, but it will also strengthen the eastern flank of NATO because, for example, in intercepting drones and mass drone attacks with warfare in the electromagnetic spectrum, I think Ukraine is very much ahead of what we are capable of doing in NATO countries. So integrating the air defenses is, I think, a step that we should not shy away from. Yeah, and the argument has never been a military argument. Also under international law, it's perfectly fine of doing this. There has always been a political consideration of saying, oh, if we use a NATO interceptor starting from, I don't know, Poland to shoot down a drone over Western Ukraine, then I don't know what, Armageddon will start. The truth is nothing will happen, and at least not the escalations, many people are worrying it, but it will be less threats for the people living in Western Ukraine, and Ukraine can move some air defense assets elsewhere. That should be pushed, and maybe now is a good time to push this because the question also for security of Ukrainian defense industry, of investments, of rebuilding what is the topic of the conference has to do also with airspace control and interception. Integrating air defenses is key.
I believe it's a completely silly discussion we have in the Netherlands because there are lawyers involved. And they are more afraid that if you shoot down a drone in the environment of Schiphol Airport, then stuff from it will fall down. So they rather have blow up Schiphol Airport than have the risk that they down a drone over there.
Yeah, but I mean, the drone thing is the perfect example where Ukraine can help us and we can help Ukraine because Ukraine is so much better in detecting and understanding those drone threats. And then, you talked about Schiphol. It's a sighting, yeah? Some person sees something, but there are no real sensors to understand where did it...
We have the sensors, Robin Radar, Dutch company, but afterwards nothing happens because there are no shooters. And I think you mentioned the command and control and the integration of these systems. And it's a bit difficult to say that with you in the panel, but we might need some American help there also because it's a capability we don't have in Europe. Nico, anything else you would like to add at this moment?
I don't want to...
Because otherwise you're excused and you can go to the airport.
Yeah, no. I do not want to monopolize this, so thank you for the opportunity.
Some of the guys here know me already, so they know I'm a time Nazi. If you use too much time, I will definitely tell you. Let's move on to Mykhailo, SAMUS, first contact company and director of the new Geopolitics Research Network in Ukraine, and a very good friend of the new Strategy Center. Mykhailo, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much to George Skutaro and the New Strategy Center to bring me here and to have opportunity to share some points. I could continue the discussion about the strategic and high political level, and after this several points on the very technical because we have ammunition and very concrete topic. But before, I'd like to continue the answering your question about the Iron Dome. Actually, it's not in use and a secret that European countries, they cannot produce any missile defense systems. Iron Dome, it's about missile defense. And maybe you know that in Poland and in Romania we have just a couple of Aegis systems, which is really missile defense systems. What we have in Ukraine, the Patriots, it's not a missile defense system with some specifications against ballistic missiles. It's not a missile defense, it's air defense system with some specifications. So what is the suggestion for Europe? Of course, to produce, finally, trying to produce own missile defense system, because without it we cannot say about autonomy and our independence from the United States. Again, talking about another strategic instrument, it's a long-range missiles. You know that any European country cannot produce ballistic missiles. French is trying to do it, but we cannot produce ballistic missiles. Cruise missiles, some of them, but in numbers which cannot say that it's enough for our situation. And of course, I'm not saying ammunition, you know, ammunition, it's about nuclear. So if we're talking about the autonomy, European allies should build a nuclear autonomy. So we should think about our nuclear doctrine, and this is very important. I just give you points to think about it, not to discuss it. But anyway, we should be on nuclear, missile defense, and long range. This is the key elements which we should build. Talking about another political level, we have several programs like European Defense Fund, SAFE program, which have great number of 150 billion of euros for development of European defense industry. But it's still a lot of bureaucracy here. And what I could say from the European side, that Ukraine is still is not an equal partner here. In European Defense Fund, we cannot, Ukrainian companies cannot participate directly, only with service partner or subsidiary on different consortiums, which is very unreal in reality.
Is that Western arrogance, or?
Say again?
Is that Western arrogance, or?
Yeah, it's some model of approach. The SAFE program is a little bit better. So Ukrainian company could, through Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, participate in some national program of the allies. But again, it looks like too complicated. And my suggestion to think on the Brussels level to give Ukrainian companies or Ukraine as a participant of this program the equal status with European Union members. I think it will be no problem with bureaucracy, and I think we go ahead on this way to give Ukraine as a status of member, even without EU membership, in defense industrial projects. It will give us and European Union the more opportunity to be on like a partnership, like our colleague told, and go to the specific questions on the ammunition. So if we're talking about the number, because how we can produce more ammunition, the question is that if we looking at the 2022 and 2025, it's absolutely different. Artillery, it's absolutely different ammunition. So if you're talking about the massive approach, it's not what we need now in Ukraine. Ukrainian approach on the front line, it's not a massive fire, but it's more about the high rate of fire, digital integration, and mobile applications. So it's kind of some principles which we have on our artillery systems, which is now have impact on how to build the new artillery systems and avoid the mistakes we had in 2022, 2023, and years before. So the principles of using a tactics is shoot and scoot. It means that you should be on the position less than 1 minute, they complete the mission and get out from the position. Of course, you need to have total automatization, sensors, and total integration to all of possible command, control, communications, computer, and intelligence surveillance systems. And this is the not requirements. It should be, it must be in modern artillery systems. Long range. If you're talking about the number of ammunition, you should talk about the range of this ammunition. And normal range of modern artillery system in Ukraine, it's at least 40 kilometers compared to 20 kilometers before. 40, 70 kilometers. Now it sounds like fantastic, but believe me, this is a real distance which possible to use on the battlefield, because otherwise you will destroy it by FPV drones immediately. If you have a 20 kilometers range of your ammunition artillery system, it means that you cannot use it normally. Because if you're talking about the, what is the impact of drones to artillery? Huge, but in the same time, artillery can adapt to the situation and be part of the drone artillery systems. Drones could be eyes, like intelligence surveillance system. Drone could keep artillery aware of all of the situation, and of course the target acquisition very fast and very, let's say, practical and pragmatic way. And this is absolutely what we have on the battlefield. Circular error probability, this is very important characteristic, less than 5 meters. This is the new requirements for artillery system and ammunition. Multiply around simultaneous impact. This is a techniques which can use on the modern artillery systems, when artillery system by itself make the different angle of the ammunition launching, that several rounds could be on the target in the one time, but shooting from the one artillery system. It's absolutely fantastic characteristic, but it should be, and of course you should adapt the ammunition to this. It should be a built platform because you should be very fast, and of course the built platform, it's the solution. Strong protection, including electronic warfare and active protection contra drones. Soft recoil technologies, very small crew, like 2-3 soldiers maximum, and they should work under protection, just sitting on the armor vehicle, not getting out from so total automatic. And of course, I would say that Ukraine, I think the colleague will talk more about it. The Ukrainian system Bogdana now producing like 40 items per month and trying to be inside of these characteristics. And I think that European companies, European partners, they trying to be on these tracks. And so my conclusion, if we're talking about the more ammunition, we always should talk on this Ukrainian feedback, Ukrainian experience, because without it, it could be a problem that you are producing more, but it's impossible to use on the battle. So I think that it should be always a very close contact with Ukrainian companies, Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, Ukrainian Army, to get more and more real battle information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mykhailo. Sergei, we already heard a lot of positive things about the industry you're representing, the National Association of Ukrainian Defense Industry, but I'm sure you have something to add to this.
Thank you. First of all, I can agree with all previous speakers. First of all, also about the scope, how we change the Ukrainian defense market. Because it's true that in 2022 we almost produce nothing from ammunition. Not because of the lack of knowledges or other options, but because our stocks also, we thought that our stocks also fill this Soviet type munition. And even with Bogdana, it was projected before 2022 definitely, but there was a lot of discussion, does we need to change 152 to 155? Because it's not the simple replacement of one platform to another, it's absolutely changing all the environment, all the ecosystem, including the spare parts, maintaining, and the capacity storages for the munition. Historically, now we make a decision to switch from 152 to 155, and now we produce like several hundreds, thousands rounds for 155 per year. Sometimes it's bigger than our partners from Europe or United States, and the only limitation now is chemistry. It's the propellants, first of all, as well, actually. Everybody have the same problems as the Ukrainian one. It's the total deficit for all the market. What is also can be say in support that definitely the scale of production are huge and even hardly compare with our European partners. For example, as we said at Bogdana, for now, yeah, it's up to 40 plus probably howitzers per month. For example, last week or this week, I don't remember, was announced that Lithuania signed the contract for the Caesar Mark II, and they expect to receive 30 Caesars until 2030. So I don't know how we can analyze how they will be ready for this type of conflict in case they will expect for 4 years to receive only 30 howitzers. In Ukrainian terms, it's less than 1 month. So basically, what should be learned from our experience that you need to have the strong storages, you need to have the strong reserve, because anything would be enough. From 2022, the types of munitions that used on the battlefield also dramatically changed. For example, mortar mines now used less and less as the munition for mortars, but usually now it's used for munition for the UAVs and using as bombs actually, because of the distance where this munition should be used. For example, one of our company, Ukrainian Armor, implements 16mm mortar as the round, as the warhead for the UAV. So in this case, we increase the distance of targeting from less than 2 kilometers up to 20 kilometers. So it gives the tremendous increasing of the distance. And actually, the question of munition for the UAV is also very important, because each time we discuss that how we need to make the storages for UAVs, because they always dynamically change. So why you need to make a storage in case it will be old after 2 months, but you should have the storages for the warheads for the UAVs. It should be as a normal loitering munition or just ammunition, and you should have this in millions, because it's the need from the battlefield. And actually about the automatizations, digital increasing of the battlefield, making the artillery more mobile, but in 2024 there was a request from the military that we need towed version of the howitzer. And for the question why didn't you towed version, so mobile version is mobile, wheeled version is, can be easily deployed from the region to region, the answer was very simple. Try to put the wheeled version underground and hide it below the level of the ground. It's quite hard because it's quite big. Yeah, so to hide the towed version, you need to dig smaller hole, and on the battlefield they live longer because it's just a piece of metal. It's not a lot of something that can be burst. Separated munition and the howitzers give the possibility to survive on the modern battlefield, because it's true that all the battlefield, like 20 or 30 kilometers from the zero in both sides, it's a total kill zone. And everything, the best should be unmanned, but I'm not sure that it's manageable in the nearest future, because it's also the war of economy. So it's better to have several more simple solutions than one state of art, because everything will be destroyed in the end of the day. And it's better to have the capacity and to have something in your reserves than to rely only on some precision thing. And it's actually the problem also with the Western types of military equipment, munition. It's too expensive to have it in millions, and you should have it in millions. Now we are not speaking about like 1 piece, 10 piece, 20 piece. It's at least hundreds and thousands, better in millions for everything, for deep strikes, for anti-air system, for everything, because your potential enemy will have the millions of everything too.
Yeah, if I listen to you, should we have something that would be called multi-purpose ammunition, like that we can build into a mortar round, but it's also a drone bomb?
It should be adopted. It should be definitely adopted because everything dynamically changed, and the battlefield will dictate you the rules how it should work, not the theory and some academic knowledge how it theoretically should work. Only battlefield shows what is work, what isn't work anymore. Because compared to 2022, everything changed. Everything changed compared to 2023. A lot of change compared to 2024. For now, for example, the tank rounds are almost not necessary because it's hard to find the tank on the battlefield. Not because we have a lack of tanks. It's just too easy target for the enemy. And it's quite problematic to be on the distance when the tank is effective. But in 2022, tank was #1 on the battlefield.
I was thinking of a question, but it would probably be rhetorical, and I would pose it to the wrong guys from Ukraine, because we do see a revolution in military affairs here. It's drones are really changing the battlefield, just like the crossbow did it at the Battle of Agincourt, and the machine gun in the American Civil War, tank after World War I, plane after World War II. But I see in the West, military still in denial. My colleagues, ex-colleagues, still in denial, where they say, we're not going to fight the Ukraine war, the next war. I think different about that. But you're not here to hear my opinion, but that one from the panel. Piotr.
For them, it's also easy, hard to acknowledge this because you need to change too much in your structure, and it's too expensive. And sometimes they just try to hide their head and to make as it previously and consider that this is the war for the poor guys. We will war in different way, but not sure actually.
Oh, but it will kill your soldiers. I mean, in France, they probably didn't have the money to change the uniforms of the cavalry in the First World War, which was red. And the Germans, they had Feldgrau, a non-color. And they found out pretty fast which one was working. So that's a typical thing of military being in denial. Little hard. The English historians once said, it's also attributed to Churchill, but once said, there's only one thing more difficult than getting a new idea into a military head is getting the old one out. So how are we going to do that? Because it will come from some military, but certainly not from all of them. Piotr, your turn.
Thank you very much for the invitation and to participate in this very concrete panel. I think that the subject of this panel is quite interesting because maybe I will tell something controversial. We are sure that we need more ammunition, and how to increase the production is the question about we must looking for European industry, for the investment which is now is pending. For 2 years, Europe will produce more than 2 million ammunition 155. And okay, we need this for sure. We need this. I mean, it's Europe. We need this kind of ammunition. The question is how long we will be able to produce this kind of quantities. And in my opinion, there is two, when we're discussing about production of ammunition, there is two very important questions. First is that we should distinguish between wartime and peacetime. Now we are preparing for the war. Storage rooms, ammunition storage, European ammunition storage was empty, almost empty, but after sending, like in Poland, when we sent a lot of ammunition, of our equipment to Ukraine, now our storages are empty. So how long European industry will be able to produce 2 million per year? And who will pay after for that? That's the absolutely key question. Just now we are focusing only to produce mass of ammunition. By our colleagues from Ukraine, and the experience are, no, it's not, maybe we need some kind of ammunition, but for sure for the next years we will need another types of ammunition. Longer range, maybe cheaper. Now contracts for the ammunition are 3 times more expensive than before war on Ukraine. There's the question also about money. Who will pay for that, and how long our countries how long are ready to pay for the production, and after that what? In my opinion, at the European level, we need something like, in Poland we had a similar program. The name of this program was Program of Mobilization of Economy, to preparing and to keep production lines during the peacetime, but it means cost for the companies, it means cost for the countries. So on the European level, we need this kind of solution for the future, and in my opinion, European Union should preparing some programs for that. Because it will be huge of costs. And when we're discussing about ammunition, very often on the public discussion we're focusing for the de facto assembling lines. But when we're discussing ammunition, these shells must be something inside. And here there is the question also about European independence on components for the ammunition. And here I think it's great opportunity for us as European countries, to start very strong cooperation with our Ukrainian partners, because they have very often huge experience, and we must remember that in the European Union we have some, for example, environmental regulations which still blocked very often some investments, and that's also, it's some kind of opportunity and added window to cooperate with Ukraine, which is still outside the EU. I think, and of course we must thinking also about another kind of ammunition. Today, when the war was started 3 years ago, was completely another equipment, another kind of drones, another kind of war, which you mentioned, and we need just now to think also about the future. Today we have, for example, loitering ammunition. That's also kind of ammunition. And what Mykhailo said also about range, distance for this ammunition. Today, and what's also we heard in Poland, 40 kilometers is absolutely not necessary today when we have very active drones on the both sides of the conflict. So, and we still invest in Europe in the previous time machines and previous time ammunitions. So the question should be how we can keep production's capacity and during the peacetime, and what instruments we should involve just now. We cannot waiting by next years, because huge investments are doing we are doing just now.
Yeah, some interesting thoughts. Yeah, still fighting the last war. I'm not sure personally whether we need more main battle tanks or a production capacity for drones. But the interesting thing is that both military and politicians, they are willing to invest in a tank because that's something they can see and can put in a warehouse and make sure that it stays clean and green. But investing in production capacity, producing nothing because you can't produce the drone today because it will be obsolete in 2 months' time. That's a really difficult story to tell. And well, you mentioned Poland yourself, which is quite logical because you are from Poland. But I think Poland is really investing in its security at the moment. Are there more lessons from Poland that we could learn, not only about ammunition, but also about the weapon systems to deliver them?
Yeah, Poland investing a lot from frankly speaking, 4 years. Now we're spending more than 5% of GDP, and for the defense and our security. But it's not necessary. It's not necessary because very often we, in my opinion, we investing a lot, but very often not we are investing on the systems, only with some parts which are separately. For example, why Ukraine has today the best in the world anti-drones system? Because they have real system. They have a lot of levels, a lot of components, and they build all the system. Because what our colleague said, it's impossible to protect only one missile or anti-drones. Yeah, we need system for another levels. So, and to build this kind of levels, we need much more wide European cooperation between our companies, using also Ukrainian companies, which they are experienced. For example, Polish company WB Group, just now it's the biggest producer of drones in NATO countries. And they cooperate with Ukrainian from the beginning of the war, because they, if I could remember, they started 2012. They have factory there, and there is real cooperation between our industries. This kind of real activity, not only because we have just now we have a lot of political declaration, we have a lot of signed MOU, but where is the real production and real cooperation? In That's all.
No, you're absolutely right. We're in the Netherlands, in Brussels, always better at producing paper than the weapon systems. Especially if weapon systems, the production of weapon systems is considered dangerous or polluting. So the idea of exporting not only the production but also the pollution to Ukraine, is that something that would appeal to you, Mykhailo?
Yeah, I just want to continue the thought of the colleague because, yeah, systematic approach and doctrinal approach, it makes sense on all of this rearmament, because if you change in just ammunition and you cannot understand what the capabilities bringing with changing or just massive production of something, it's absolutely wrong approach. If you have 600 billion of euros, doesn't matter. You could buy something like very expensive aircrafts, but you cannot understand what will this aircraft do or make or bring capabilities in 20 years, which is actually obviously that this aircraft buying right now will serve for next 50 years. So the doctrinal changes, doctrinal transformation in NATO countries or European Union countries is a key element of all of this process. And absolutely right that in Ukraine, because we have war and we need to bring real capabilities on the front line, not thinking like a political issues or even money issues, we just building what we need on the front line, what our soldiers need, and that it means they need some capabilities. Doesn't matter what system call, what it looks like, or if traditional or non-traditional, but if we have this capability, okay, go ahead. And after this, the questions of the money, production lines, it will answer the requirements from the front line. And this is a problem of EU, actually, because we have money now, but if you look at the national, and even we have in Brussels, if you look at the Eurocommissar Kubilius, he absolutely makes a great job, but if you go to the national level, every Ministry of Defense has own national security and defense doctrine, and they focusing on some not capabilities, but requirements for the politicians or Ministry of Defense, but it doesn't mean that this Ministry of Defense answering the requirements of the modern and future battlefield. And this is a problem for Europe, I think the critical problem.
Piotr, you're willing to react?
Shortly comment, I agree with you, Nico. I think that in Europe we are much more focusing not to the real products which could help us to defend our countries, but only very often we much more focusing for the ranking who will spend more money. These rankings will not defend us. Very often we are buying very expensive and, in my opinion, not necessary equipment, not necessary for next 5 or 10 years, for sure. And we have a lot of samples also in Poland when we're discussing about our spending.
There is room for questions out of the public. If any, then I will go through. You mentioned wartime and peacetime. Is it still smart to use these terms? We're in a hybrid situation at this moment. If I knew it wouldn't take too much time, I would give Phil Peterson the floor to talk about new generation warfare. But what does it to the mind of the people, of the soldiers, that we still use these terms? If you look at military might, 3 components, the doctrine, physical part and the mental part. Do we in Europe in general, but Eastern Europe, have the right mentality, the right mindset to fight a future war? How do you look at that from, maybe I can ask you, Sergii, but do you believe that Europeans are willing to fight a war?
I'm pretty sure in case of needs, they will, I hope they will. It's also hard to say that, for example, Ukrainians want to fight a war. Ukrainians probably the last persons who wants to fight a war. We just have no choice. It's not a question of our choose this way, it's our response for the aggression. And when somebody in the West Pan asking, for example, the people in Portuguese, does they ready to fight the war? Obviously, nobody on the streets don't want to fight the war, don't want to be killed on the war. But in case of needs, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people, even in Western country, also will fight for their lives, for their families, for their nation. It's a rhetorical question. It's as well in the First World War, probably also almost nobody in the Western Europe want to fight this war, but they fight for several years. It wasn't they choose, it was the response for the situation that happens with their country. About the peacetime and the wartime, does the South Korea lives in the peacetime, for example, for the last decades? Or they live in the wartime, and that's why they invest a lot in the military sector. That's why they have one of the strongest industrial base for the military, and maybe that's why they don't have war. In terms of huge spendings for the military needs, it's always you have other options to spend even more to restore your broken country. What we will have after this invasion in Ukraine? We will need investments even more than we spent for the munition, for the military system, to restore our country, to make our cities again prepared for the life. And it's the huge problem. The millions of munition or hundreds of rockets doesn't cost the potential deaths of your people. And it's always problematic to calculate what should be invested for. But even compare with the COVID, spendings for even Ukrainian support are not so huge.
You mentioned Portugal. Sergei, do we need another definition of the battlefield? I mean, with hybrid warfare, I've had some interesting discussions about the power outage in Spain and Portugal, and I called it a hybrid attack, and then people said to me, yeah, Hans, you can't prove that. But the interesting thing about hybrid attacks is that you can never prove it, whether it's an attack or an accident. And hybrid warfare brings the war to our people. And are we prepared for that?
For me, it's always...
You are. You proved.
It's always better
to
are. Strike first. Yeah. And actually, it's the main problem with Europe or United States in negotiation with Russia. They want to solve this situation with the negotiation and with explanation and with rational mind. But when your opponent understands only the brutal force, you should use the brutal force. Russians perfectly understand where they're hitting in their head. In this case, they said, oh, okay, probably we do something wrong, and stop doing. Let's see how let's remember how the Turkey responds for the Russian planes in their territory. They just destroy it. What happens? Does the Third World War start? Does they start bombing Istanbul? No, because they're afraid. Russia is the paper tiger. In case they need to involve North Korea, Iran, and sometimes one of biggest supporter and partner from the Western world to persuade us to surrender, probably they are not so strong and impossible to defeat. So just need to be proactive, and that's all.
Mykhailo?
Yeah, I can add that actually, from my point of view, it's still a doctrinal problem, which is even on the Ministry of Defense Army level in our neighboring country, could be perceived like a reality. On the political level, sometimes it's not understanding on the real way. I could give you an example. For example, when we have remember these drone attacks against especially Poland, when they really used the Geran against Poland, and it was a lot of initiatives and propositions, and actually some drones attacking Romanian territory. And it was a lot of initiatives how to build the drone walls in Eastern Europe, eastern flank of the NATO, how to get more and more projects and more money for these projects. And on the political level, it was the kind of request to Ukraine, like share the experience. So it means that Ukraine should send Ukrainian soldiers and officers with experience from the defending Ukraine, just to give instructions to Poland, Romania, and other countries from the NATO. And my question was why we shouldn't make another approach. For example, the Polish unit from air defense go to Ukraine, to Sumy, Chernihiv Oblast, getting together with Ukrainian air defense unit and started to shoot the Shaheds. I think it is the best experience. It's not so dangerous like on the battlefield in Donbass, for example. But I propose this a lot of time, and I never had a feedback like, okay, it's a good idea from the NATO countries. Because the political...
You won't get political agreement.
Yeah, because for politicians it's very dangerous. Could you imagine if some soldier will be killed in Ukraine?
I understand what you're saying is if you're sending Ukraine soldiers to Western armies and let them explain it doesn't work. It's like talking about sex or doing it. And talking is always worse than doing it. We still have a couple of minutes. Let's see whether each one of our panelists has some famous last words. Piotr, you first.
One comment only about hybrid war. I think our societies are completely not ready for that. But we must remember that we are just now on the hybrid war every day. So in Poland we are attacked by Shahids, we are attacked by another drones, we have every day, we have thousands of cyber attack for critical infrastructure, for hospitals, for TV stations or press rooms. So just now, all of our countries are on the hybrid war. That's for sure. If we to little bit summarize, I think that we must remember that, in my opinion, I agree with what Nico said about this kind of cross-country cooperation. It should be much more closer. Because in my opinion, individual countries, individual member states of European Union cannot efficiently secure themselves and secure the full supply chain of components for the production, also ammunition. It's the question about cost of our security. And also cost of, we must remember that, and Ukraine is perfect sample, because today they are every day under attack, and they are ready, and they are producing ammunition. I saw some photo from your factories, which you are producing. Some of them was destroyed after 2 days. Some part of destroyed building, and the production is moving. So we need much more closer cooperation and focusing to protect supply chain of the components for ammunition and not only.
Thank you very much. Very, very short question, because I was already rounding up.
Thank you well. So really short question for our Polish friend. I know that you have a very comprehensive program to train the population. Can you share with us some of the lessons of this program? And
that's a question for who?
for Piotr, I think, for the Polish
Can you repeat the
yeah.
question?
In Poland,
Yeah.
you launched a program to mass train the regular people, the civilians. Can you share with us some of the lessons of that?
That's a really good question. It's about resilience, not about ammunition. But I allowed it, so I allow you a 1-minute answer, max.
The program has been started from the beginning, formally from the beginning of this year, because we have new law, and every year we will spending around 0.3 DGP for the protection of the civilians and to build this kind of resilience. This is one project, and the second Polish general staff with our regular army started train the people, but it's mainly just now they train, for example, with the first aid or shooting, simple shooting. So this year probably they will train around 100,000 people, something like that. What 2 weeks ago one of our commanders said to me.
Thank you. No follow-up. Sorry. Good subject for the Black Sea and Balkans Forum. I'll ask George to put it on the agenda. Mykhailo, famous last words. They won't be famous and they won't be your last ones because we see each other again in May. But
yeah, I think that the main problem of now for Europe, it's perceiving this war like a war somewhere in Ukraine. I think that even more than supporting and helping Ukraine, it's a wrong approach for now, because I cannot see on this background which we discussed during this conference any reasons why Russia cannot attack European countries. I don't find any reasons why Russia cannot attack European countries. That's why I think that European countries should perceive this war like our joint war, how to deter Russia, and we need to act like this, not support Ukraine, not help Ukraine, etc.
You're fighting our war. Sergii, you got 30 seconds.
So I totally agree with my colleagues. We need to unite our activities and co-product together with European, first of all, countries, because Ukraine is a part of Europe, and we're pretty sure that we can make additional value in the security terms for European security. It's not about the donation for Ukraine, it's about the creation the new defense environment and defense system for united Europe.
Thank you very much. Exactly at 0 seconds, which is brilliant. Thanks to my panel. Thanks to the audience. Please join me in a round of applause for it. And I was going to say the next panel will even be more interesting than this one, but it's got the same moderator, so let's just see where we end up at. We start at 5 o'clock.